So today I'm with B. B, how old are you?
I'm 30.
B, how long have you been lost in Phoenix?
Oh gosh, in Phoenix, it's been like 5 years now, but I've been on the. I'm from Utah, and I was on the streets there since I was about 21.
So about 9 years,
Yeah, around
off
there.
and on, living a lifestyle of this homeless, and whether it's Utah or Phoenix.
Yeah.
So in your early 20s, like what was going on back then at home, or what issues brought you to the streets?
Well, I was living with my grandma, and she lost her house, and I had moved up to Montana with my mom, trying to like get away from the drugs and stuff in Salt Lake, and it didn't work out because my mom relapsed, and we lost our place there. And then we went back to Salt Lake, and then my grandma lost her house. They moved back up to Montana, but I wanted to stay in Salt Lake, and that was it.
So it sounds like addiction is like generational. It runs in your family.
Yeah, definitely. I'm like a third generation addict.
Do you have children?
No kids.
Do you think you ever will have children?
I hope so. I want kids really bad. I have like infertility issues, and that's like the one thing I think that would get me out of this lifestyle.
I've interviewed one would think so, but I've interviewed lots of women that are currently pregnant. They've had their 9th baby.
For sure,
I interviewed a gal 2 years ago. She was pregnant with their 7th child. She had a big belly, and smoking that stuff right in front of me, like no worry in the world. So you think that motherhood would change a person? Sometimes it doesn't. Maybe sometimes it does. It's just sometimes it doesn't. And that's really sad, because now there's gonna be a baby, right, floating around somewhere with the grandma, with the family, with the state, adopted, and then will that child? So that child
perpetuates 9 times out of 10.
Exactly, right, because it's born with that stuff in the system.
Yeah, exactly.
It's generational.
I was brought up by my grandma mostly, and she did the best she could, but you gotta think, if the person that raised the initial addict, they're gonna be using the same, parenting techniques that created the first addict. So it's kind of like...
It's like a cycle.
Yeah.
That's hard to get out of.
Definitely.
So, but you've had infertility issues. You're not able to get pregnant.
Yeah, I've got endometriosis, and so I gotten pregnant, but I miscarried. I've had like 4 miscarriages. Yeah, I was trying, but it didn't quite work out. So, but I'm hopeful.
Right. What's next for you? Do you think sobriety is anywhere near in your future?
I don't know necessarily about like, full-blown sobriety in like the traditional sense, but I recently I went to prison at the beginning of this year, and getting out just kind of shocked me a little bit, I guess, and because prior to that, I was pretty much like cool where I'm at, and recently I've kind of been getting like bored, fed up with it. Like I'm not one of the people that are out here, has no one that cares about them, and no education and all that. Like I graduated high school early. I've been to college. I have my mom and my grandma love me to death. I was rolling in food when I was locked up. My mom had money on there for me every week. I was on the phone with her every day, pretty much. And she is actually like 8 years clean now. And she tells me all the time that I wish you'd come up here to Montana, and I've really been like seriously considering it, just because, if nothing else, the drugs will still be here. Like if I don't like it, or whatever, the drugs will still be hurt. I can go back to it. It's a messed up way to think of it, but I mean, I don't know.
Congratulations to your mom's sobriety, 8 years. That's great.
Yeah, it's crazy. We used to get high together.
You and your mom used to get high together.
Yeah.
How old were you when you first got high with your mom?
Like 20. Yeah. First time I did meth was with my mom. But she got put on probation, and she was one of the like success stories, super success stories. Like she went to rehab, graduated from rehab on my birthday that year, and has never gone back to it. She's awesome. She does like, you know, the people that'll go into jails and
talk.
Yep, and like lead a meeting. She does that. She does. She does like the suicide walk every year. I have a cousin that committed suicide, so it's like a big thing in my family. You know, we all do the walk every year and all that. And this last year, she like even did like a big speech. She sent me a video of it. It was super cool. Like she's awesome.
She's doing good, and she's helping the community, right? She's kind of paying it forward. She's learning.
Yeah.
She's teaching others what she's learned, how to prevent it and how to get out of it.
Yeah, kind of showing like, hey, if I can do it, because she was like 45, 47, something like that when she got clean.
Okay.
And she was like, if I can do it at that late stage, you know, me and my brother had already been raised by my grandma pretty much. You know, we were adults, and she still, you know, had the will in herself to do that for her, you know. It's inspiring to me when I think about it.
Absolutely. Is it G that you use? Or you use blues and G?
I do blues and G. I
Got it.
started on heroin.
H?
Yeah, and then moved down here, and at first I could get it, but then the blues took over. You can hardly even find heroin anymore. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'd be saying, man, if I could go back and just do heroin, like I never thought I would say, wish I could go back to heroin, but at least with heroin, like it was possible to, you know, kind of have a normal life because you don't have to. Fentanyl has a half-life of like 4 hours. So you're damn near constantly in withdrawal unless you're constantly smoking.
You're chasing it. That's why it's so cheap, because they know it's quantity, you know? They're going to get their money with the quantity that you need, you know? So you mentioned Salt Lake City. When I think of Salt Lake City, when a lot of people think of Salt Lake City, they think of Mormon, nice goody two-shoe town. You know, it's a small city, not a big, huge city like Phoenix. You don't think of this stuff happening in Salt Lake City. You think that the Mormons or that community has that city kind of cleaned up, right? That's not the case?
They try to like perpetuate that image, I'm sure, but the reality is definitely different. I know it has cleaned up a little bit since they, like before I left, maybe, probably almost 10 years ago now, they did this whole Operation Rio Grande, they called it, because that's the name of the shelter there. And literally, probably like a 12-block square around the shelter downtown in Salt Lake, right next to like the Gateway Mall. It's like a huge tourist thing, City Creek Mall, and the temple. Like within blocks of those, within blocks of the temple, you had this huge square of nothing but smokers and literally dealers lining the street. They were all like Honduran, and they would have like balloons they have black ones and white ones, and they keep them in their mouth, right? So if they got rolled up on, they could just swallow them, and they'd be yelling at you, black, white, I got the big ones, what you need, black, white. And like literally, like people would be walking by like trying to go to like a concert or a concert venue right there, or like trying to go to the mall. They didn't care. Because but they knew that, you know, people, it didn't matter what people looked like, because you would get, you know, the bishops pulling up, picking up,
That's surprising to hear. It's really sad.
Yeah, definitely. Or you get, you know, moms pulling up their kids in the car and stuff. It's crazy.
It's sad.
Yeah.
Why do you think there's so many young people, what's your opinion, out here is a lot of teenagers here in Phoenix using, mainly here in Phoenix, mainly blues,
Yeah.
right? Or G, but it's really mainly blues that I notice, right?
Yeah.
And then you got people like you that kind of switch between both.
Yeah.
Why, in your opinion, why do you think there's so many young people out here?
I think that it's probably a combination of just like I know a lot of people in like the younger generation, like, you know, I'm 30, and even I, you know, like I said, I was raised by my grandma. I'm, you know, third generation addict. I know a lot of the people younger than me are, it's the same deal. You know, they would be, you know, at least second, if not third or fourth generation in addiction in their family. And then, you know, all the issues that come along with that, you know, not having like a stable home life, you know, witnessing it going on in your home when you're a kid. I mean, kids aren't stupid, you know, people think, you know, oh, they don't know what I'm doing or whatever. They know what you're doing, you know, or they'll think, as long as I tell them what it is, or I'm totally honest with them and I let them know, hey, don't do that. No, it really, I mean, you gotta be honest, but eventually, especially once the kids get older, they gotta be more cognizant, you know, like but definitely like talking with the kids is important too, though, because I remember I had no clue that I was going to get sick off heroin. I had no clue that I was predisposed to addiction, you know. If I would have known that stuff, I probably would have thought twice a little more. But yeah, I think that, and just a lot of the issues going on just in the world, you know. I think COVID played a big part in it. The just general grief that came like throughout the world, it came with it, you know. I'm a big believer in, you know, energy, and that we all are connected with each other, and that, you know, we feel each other, you know. And so even if, you know, someone didn't necessarily personally experience loss through COVID, having that connection cut from the whole sheltering in house, whatever they called it, and then on top of that, you know, having friends or family that lost people that were close to them, and experiencing that grief like secondhand like that, you know.
Absolutely.
Like that's tough, and, you know, I think we weren't prepared for that.
Right.
And so no one really knew what to do. And then taking them out of school, out of their social life, they got onto the internet real heavy, and then, you know, the parents can't necessarily monitor what their kids are like doing and who they're talking to and shit as much when they're just strictly on the internet. So
yeah, good point. My last question: who would you hold accountable for what's going on? Not you personally, but just in general, all of this, right? All this stuff that's going on in the homelessness, the addiction, whether it's Salt Lake City or Phoenix, or it's everywhere basically, right? It's just more pronounced here because I live here, right? I've never been to Salt Lake City. I just see this everywhere, all over Phoenix, right?
It's not as bad
would you
here,
say government? Would you say school, society in general, or poor parenting?
I would say probably society in general, but then also like that's supposed to be the government's place, is to, you know, like recognize issues that are going on within its society and do something about it. And I think that the right people aren't being consulted on what to do, you know. They don't ask anybody that's even been in that position, hey, what should we do? What would have helped you when you were in that place, you know? They just kind of either demonize and, oh, lock them up, throw them in jail, send them to prison, you know? Or they just ignore it, you know? I think here in particular, a lot more resources are expended on arresting people and this whole crazy homelessness being illegal thing where they will pull up on you, run your name, and arrest you for trespassing. The police department solicit everywhere, businesses, anywhere that's not government owned. Basically, they solicit them to put up these no trespassing signs, and if they look at a building and see someone sitting in some shade because it's freaking 100 degrees, and they see that sign, they have a right to pull up on them, run their names, search all their belongings, and take them to jail if they, have cause. Which 9 times out of 10, homelessness is it's something that is extremely draining mentally. It's traumatizing. It's a traumatic experience, honestly. I know for sure. I mean, I already dealt with PTSD, but I know for sure I'm gonna be dealing, when I get off the streets, I'm going to be dealing with post-traumatic from being out here. How that'll manifest, I don't know. But I mean, already going into stores gives me major anxiety. Even if I'm I like to think I look pretty put together for the most part. I might have an extra bag on me, but you know what I mean. And even that, or something like my teeth, they look at that and will just be ignorant.
You get judged a lot?
Bad. Bad. It's crazy. I went into a Wendy's the other day trying to buy those little, those fundraiser coupons they be having for free Frosties.
Yeah.
I tried to buy a book of one of those. You know what the clerk told me? He said, we don't sell those to homeless people. I swear on my skin, he said that. He said, we don't sell those to homeless people. I'm like, why? He said, oh, you guys buy them and then you get the Frosty and then you turn around and sell it. Don't even make sense at all. It's the little itty bitty junior Frosty. How you gonna take that and sell it? It's gonna melt. It was just, but he didn't want to come right out and just say because we feel like it.
Because we don't want you in our store, basically, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I've had experiences like that in all kinds of restaurants. And I get it. A lot of the homeless community is trash. They're whack. I cuss people out almost on a daily for not picking up their garbage after themselves and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, we're still human, regardless of, we still should be able. You used to be able to go to any gas station or McDonald's or whatever and go, and if you need to, because you're out and about or whatever, go and use the freaking restroom. And now there are certain areas in Phoenix where you will be hard pressed to find a restroom you can use, even if you buy something.
Right.
It's crazy.
That's so true. Stores will push back on what you're saying and say, we let homeless people in here use our restroom, but we find them in there slumped out, sleeping, or the whole restroom smells like blues.
Yeah.
We get complaints from customers that, hey, somebody people passed away in restrooms.
Yeah.
And so that's what they don't want.
Yeah.
So they're kind of judging you for sure. They're generalizing, right? Because not everybody, maybe you're more, cleaner than other people, right? And so they're definitely generalizing, which isn't the right thing to do. But that's kind of their pushback. That's what they would tell you. Is other people have ruined it for you, So
right.
I think it's, we have to try to understand both sides.
No, and definitely, I understand it. It's just, it sucks that to have those generalizations made and not even get a chance given, or and to be just immediately Like, I've been accused of shoplifting stuff that I bought and brought in with me, and I'll stand up for myself. I'll, tell the clerk, like, yo, run the cameras back. They don't even want to do it because they're set in, I know,
Yeah.
Like, I think it would greatly benefit just the world in general for people to be, like, more open-minded, and also to more empathetic, because in all reality, a lot of those people that are being judgmental and ignorant are not even 2 paychecks away from being exactly where I'm at.
You're definitely right about that. And something else you're right about is that you, at the end of the day, you're human, right? You deserve dignity, respect, and compassion for what you're going through right now. And I want to say thank you very much, V, for sharing your story, talking to me a little. You're familiar with the channel. I asked you if you're familiar. Yeah, videos, YouTube. So you're a little familiar with it. And so the whole purpose of this is for you to share your story so that 15-year-old V at home going through trauma, experiencing awful things, can hear your story and be like, damn, she was my age when she tried stuff,
Yeah.
So I'm gonna stay away from any of that stuff. If my mom offers me whatever, I'm gonna say no.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately your mom introduced you to stuff, right? Or you did it with your mom at 20 years old, right? So
Yeah.
that's really bad, right? Because she made it seem like it was okay.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
we all
I had
know-
asked her, but still, it being there
Right,
at all.
right.
Yeah.
And so your story is going to save somebody else's life, okay? Guaranteed for sure. So you should be proud of that. Your mom should be proud. We're proud of your mom's sobriety for the past, 8-9 years sober.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
the one that needs to be next, okay? Because we care about you. You matter. And again, thank you for sharing your story. I'm going to give you some water. I'm going to get you some food. Stay safe. God bless. We'll talk soon,
Thank you.
okay?
Okay.